This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome to the WWE Podcast Mailbag. It's Wednesday, July 12th, 2023. Let's jump right into those emails, everybody.
Hey! Yo, it's me. It's me.
It's Rocky T.
That's right. Rocky T starts us off, and he says, what superstar's finish would I change into what? Mason's question from last week. Answer, Bayley. I do not like the Rose plant. Change it back to what move won her the championship. The Bayley to belly, or at least use it as a signature move. I couldn't agree more. Great choice. Second, I think Becky is too short for the manhandle slam, and it doesn't look as impactful as it should, in my opinion. I would like to see Big Time Bex get a more technical move set and switch back to the disarmor. Matt, you said The Rock's name a lot on the current state with Anthony, so it's been on my mind. We know there's a storyline built in already for his return, but if you have more family members, i.e. Ava Raine, to make the storyline more compelling, then why not? Here's my thought and fantasy booking. Jay versus Roman at SummerSlam. Solo's ringside. Roman's down, referee down. Solo tries to interfere, but Jay counters and Solo's down. Jay goes for the kill, Uso splash, but Ava Raine, who's The Rock's daughter, by the way, debuts to help Roman win. Storyline, Elders sent Ava to strengthen the bloodline alongside Solo since Usos do not acknowledge Roman anymore. Ava has her main roster in-ring debut at Survivor Series, wink wink. A few months go by, Roman disrespects Ava somehow. Boom, Rock returns to defend his daughter and declare himself the head of the table, also turning Ava babyface in the process. About the name Ava Raine. It sounds like a name for a wizard. It should have been Ava Johnson or Ava Maivia to carry the lineage. Those names sound strong and prestigious. How great is it that it's been... Oh, how great has it been that New Day's been off TV? It's been awesome. It has. I haven't even thought about them. That's how much they're missed. Seriously. And I like your storyline, by the way, except the latest is that the Bloodline storyline is going to conclude at SummerSlam. And when I say conclude, I think people are taking that as, there's not going to be any more. No, there's no more story to tell with the Usos and Roman and Solo, and that's just not true. It just means that they're taking a temporary hiatus from whatever this version of the story is. It doesn't mean they're not ever going to come back to it, of course. It just means at this point, after SummerSlam, things are wrapping up from the Usos versus Roman. That's all that means, I think. But I like your story. That does seem to be plausible. I just don't know if Ava Raine or The Rock's daughter is actually ready for that spot yet. That's a big time spot to be in for a green, very green wrestler. So, but I like it. I'm still mad WWE broke up the Iconics. Yeah, me too. I never forgot that. And they were such a good team. They weren't the best wrestlers in the world, but they had a great chemistry. Nothing to update on Roxanne Perez this week. Let's see. 2-week notice for the Raw review with me. Thank you. See, already forgot. Next week will be a 1-week notice. Thank you. Lastly, don't have a good day. Have a great day. And again, guys, that's an order. Okay. I'll be Sergeant Slaughter. That's an order. So very good. Thank you, Rocky T. Let's see here. Where do we want to go? We'll go to DJ Kuzmo and get to him, and the Veer Mahan report will follow after we get to the voicemail side of things. So he says, hello, WWE and AEW podcast world, L.A. Knight. Let me talk about I can't remember a time that there were millions of YouTube views for a pre-SmackDown segment. And here we go with L.A. Knight. This past Friday, he had a pre-SmackDown segment with none other than Hit Row. That as of today on YouTube, it has been viewed 1.2 million times and counting. That's a huge, huge deal because this is the start of LA Knight as a babyface. but interesting as to why creative could have done the LA Knight babyface turn on SmackDown and not the pre-SmackDown segment. With that being said, it would make sense for LA Knight to get booked to be the next challenger for Austin Theory's lousy United States Championship title reign as soon as SummerSlam, instead of on a random episode of SmackDown, because it would be a huge moment and a momentum builder for LA Knight since he didn't get that chance at Money in the Bank. I mean, no doubt. There seems to be a general consensus that LA Knight is going to target Austin Theory. It seems like a foregone conclusion, and I have no problem with it. It's predictable, yes, but I don't care. It's a nice stop. Think about this, guys. I know we all want right now. It's got to be right now. LA Knight, top of the card. He should be the one to beat Roman. First of all, I'll tell you that those people, slow your roll. I know we have no patience in today's world. Everything's got to be right now to the extreme. But think about where LA Knight was just 4 or 5 months ago, when he wasn't getting the reactions he was, losing matches week after week, no promo time. And all of a sudden, we're complaining, though some of us are complaining that he's going to be United States champion. I mean, at that point, it was unthinkable. And now we're complaining? Not you, DJ, but those that are, disappointed he didn't win Money in the Bank, or angry at WWE he didn't win Money in the Bank. Those people just don't know what a slow build is, and they want instant gratification. I'm all for the slow build. What's going on with Sheamus? Is this the time for him to turn heel? I was disappointed in the finish of the U.S. title match, ending with him getting pinned via the dreaded roll-up. Has Sheamus reached his ceiling of the mid-card division on SmackDown, and what do you think is next for the Brawling Brutes? Because out of all the factions getting additional TV time, the Brawling Brutes have been sparingly booked on SmackDown, even though they're currently feuding with Theory and Pretty Deadly. Do you think at some point the Brutes split up? Yeah, I think they do. I don't think that right now they are in the main event scene, although you could make an argument that Sheamus versus Roman Reigns, if you ever need kind of a quick main event that is a credible challenger for Roman and semi-believable to beat Roman if you do the build correctly as kind of a one-off match. Sheamus versus Roman is on the card. When's the last time Sheamus versus Roman for his title happened? Has Sheamus ever challenged Roman for that title? I mean, somebody out there, I'm sure has the list, but I don't know. So if that doesn't happen, what's next for the Brawling Brutes? Yeah, they could just split. They could, but I'd be concerned about Ridge Holland and Butch. They've found a home there. So I think they kind of just dance around SmackDown for a little while, honestly, and just kind of fill the gap as needed. All right, lastly, don't get me started with Karrion Kross. Oh, and to answer your question, do I think Sheamus turns heel? No. They've got enough heels on SmackDown, for the time being anyway. Okay, so back to Karrion Kross. His win-loss record has been absolutely horrendous, and it seems like he's in some sort of holding pattern by creative, because since his feud with Drew McIntyre last year, Kross's booking has been very stagnant. He has one of the best entrances along with his wife Scarlett, but he's always losing, and it's getting to a point that I'm not believing in his character. It's like the mystique of Karrion Kross has all but faded away. Yeah, I don't know why Karrion Kross can't catch a break. I think there's something there with him. I don't know if they've found that formula yet. Scarlett adds to his character. He's this mysterious guy, but he's mysterious almost just for mysterious sake, but I don't know if they know why. It's a character that hasn't been fully polished or fleshed out yet. Again, he's very intense and mystifying, and he likes to turn over cards with people's names on them. But why? We don't know the why behind any of his character, why he is the way he is. So maybe the concern on WWE's part is that right now this character is as far as it can go, and they don't feel the need or don't believe in fleshing out his character anymore. I'm not sure, but his in ring is fine. So I don't know. Yeah, Karrion Kross is a bit of a mystery right now. Okay, to end it here, there are lots of unanswered questions with the SmackDown mid-card division, and hopefully the division improves with consistent booking of character development leading to or after SummerSlam. But the guy that is leading the way in the mid-card division is none other than L.A. Knight. Yeah. All right, DJ. Thank you, buddy. And we'll get to your Veer Mahan report shortly. Okay. Where are we going? Let's go to Peter. And Peter says, greetings again. Does the WWE need to start acknowledging why certain talent are not on the screens? Apologies if I missed it, but I don't remember seeing anything televised about why Braun Strowman has been missing from Raw. A quick Google tells me he's just undergone surgery. Yeah, that's what I've heard too. I mean, a lot of times the surgery and health problems aren't publicized. Sometimes it doesn't need to be all the time. It is a personal matter. And that's what I've heard too with Braun. I have no problem with... Honestly, Braun doesn't add or detract from the screen for me. I know he's a big man that can do big athletic things. I'm very neutral on Braun Strowman. I don't love him. I don't hate him. He has his moments. He is a compelling character. Well, he's compelling to look at. His character is wonky at best. So... For me, I'm not against Braun, nor am I, in his corner cheering him on. Just kind of there for me. And if he's not there, he's not there. But I do believe it is a surgery. On another note, I hear the talk about having Gunther continuing his reign because we're all about milestones. I truly think it's time, however, that Drew takes the title from him come SummerSlam. Drew's in prime position to hold gold again, and in my opinion, it feels like he's the only worthy opponent. Riddle and certainly Mustafa Ali are never going to win. Well, of course, yeah, no. Riddle and Ali have no chance. I keep hearing Randy Orton's even closer than ever to returning and realigning with Riddle. That's the latest I've heard, the latest rumblings. But WWE loves themselves some milestones, and understandably, it's marketable. People pay attention when they get close. It's kind of akin to home runs in baseball. And, when you get to that 500 mark, you're in rarefied air. You get to 550, 600, 650, like people really pay attention. It bumps up ratings. So my point, though, to bring this back to the IC title is Gunther's close to a milestone. I believe in sometime in the fall, if he retains his championship until then, he will be the longest running Intercontinental Champion ever. So, he doesn't have long to go. I would keep the belt on him. If you're that damn close, why are we going to screw with it, Gunther's absolutely worthy of it. And you know what? If you're trying to build to WrestleMania 40 and you eventually want to get to Gunther versus Brock Lesnar, which is apparently the tentative match right now, infinitely better than Brock's match this past year. But you want to create that foundation of accolades right now for Gunther. Brock's already a made man. You don't need to really add anything. Gunther, on the other hand, relatively new to the main roster. Of course, not to wrestling or WWE, but to the main roster, which to a lot of fans is the only place anyone can be, right? But that means you need to establish as much of a badass foundation as you can if you're trying to build to that. And I think having him being the longest running Intercontinental Champion of all time is a hell of a thing to be able to say, especially if you're going up against Brock Lesnar. So that's my thought. Let's see. No, that's it. Okay, thanks, Peter. Let's talk to Luke from Raleigh, North Carolina. And Luke says, it's my first time writing into the mailbag. I started listening shortly after WrestleMania this year and really enjoy the shows. I've gotten back into wrestling this year after not watching for close to a decade. My younger brother, who suffers from chronic head pain, loves wrestling and following the podcast episodes, and talk has helped me bond with him during the time of his time of pain. So thank you guys for the show. Sometimes this stuff means more than just wrestling. Okay. First of all, sorry to hear about your younger brother with the chronic head pain. Obviously, I don't know the specifics. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. But if we can help in any way by talking about wrestling, but it's a vehicle for you to use to bond with your brother, then that's awesome. These are the things that when you do a show, you do a podcast, you just, and I've said this before, but you have no idea who's listening. You have no clue what the impact you're having on people. It can range from laughter to applause, or agreeableness, or hating us. So I've gotten a ton of that, right? To apathy, to being able to help people on a level that you didn't really expect. And this is one of those deals. I'm not patting ourselves on the back or trying to make this a sappy moment or anything, but it just makes you realize anytime you put out content, and this isn't just for me, this is all podcasts, all content creators across the world. You just have no idea who's listening, where, when. People are in their cars, probably on the toilet, right? Like in the gym, out for a run, at a restaurant, at work. A lot of you listen to us at work. And you have no clue. You don't know. And it's really just such a cool thing to hear, and if we can, and that's not the purpose of this show, but if it's a side effect, I'll gladly take it, that we're bringing people not just back to wrestling, but giving them something to talk about and a place to listen to us talk about it and bond with your friends or family over wrestling. And that's cool. That's good stuff. All right. So anyway, your question for the week: what is going on with Bobby Lashley? It seems he disappeared since the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. What kind of story would you like to see him enter into when he returns? Good question. So I did a little Googling, and because I was curious about that myself, and this is according to Sportskeeda. Okay, so credible source. And he hasn't been on television since May 12th. This is when he got busted open during the World Heavyweight Championship tournament, the triple threat first round match where he lost to AJ Styles. He did work house shows amid his absence from TV. He's 46 years old, by the way, and he looks like that. My God, what an absolute beast this dude is. But he did work at WWE Sunday Stunner on June 25th when he defeated Baron Corbin. So he did work 4 house show events since his last televised appearance on SmackDown. So it seems to be not injury related, but rather just creative has nothing for him at the moment. That's the general consensus, is they don't know what to do with him. So the question you're asking is, well, what should they do with him? Well, if nothing massive is planned with Dwayne facing Roman Reigns or at SummerSlam, there's no tease of that yet, you could easily implant Bobby Lashley into that mix. At SummerSlam or the Friday night SmackDown after SummerSlam, where Bobby Lashley is revealed as Roman Reigns' next opponent. If I'm not mistaken, I believe Bobby Lashley was. He is drafted to SmackDown. I was just trying to make sure that he was. So yeah, he's in Roman Reigns' universe. Why not? I think that's probably where they'll go. Of course, Bobby Lashley has no chance of winning, but it's a storyline they need to just investigate, and it'll be a fun one. Getting rid of taking a break, honestly, from the Usos and Solo and the Usos versus Roman and all this storyline of whose loyalty lies where. For the time being, I am ready for a bit of a break from that. I'm not saying the Bloodline as a complete unit should ever dissolve completely and go away, nor should Solo leave Roman's side yet. But I think that Lashley would introduce a new chapter to this Roman Reigns run. And I think that's a fun one, albeit a predictable ending, which is what has been going on for the last 3.5 years. Or 3 years. So, thanks, Luke. And say hi to your brother. All right. let's get to King Scully in the house, and he says he's, as always, representing the UK all day. How you doing, Matt? I wanted to start off this week by discussing a certain someone by the name of Ricochet. I thought I'd make it a little different this week, as Ricochet is basically someone no one really talks about. I simply just can't connect with him at all. I've never understood what his character is meant to be. His promo this past week, for example, on Raw this week, is I just don't care. Does that make sense? Like he said to the fans about being the highlight of their night. Whatever. I doubt everyone leaves the show and says, wow, did you see Ricochet tonight? I mean, yeah, he's good in the ring, but that's it. He doesn't have a personality. He called Logan Paul homie twice. Is he a wannabe gangsta or something? Maybe it would make more sense if he dressed like one. Am I being too harsh? Well, here's the problem. If that promo didn't do anything for you, that's simply because that promo didn't erase years of just being an athletic gymnast of a performer, of a wrestler, with no personality. I mean, you can't erase all of that in one promo. And I don't think that was a world-changing promo, but I did say on Monday night, and I stick to it, for the Raw review, that I think that promo added at least some depth to his character. But nobody, like you said, is coming away from Raw or whatever show he's wrestling at and going, oh my God, Ricochet was the best thing about that night. Nobody's doing that. Nobody. He may have some kids who remember it the most because he does the coolest moves. But again, maneuvers and moves are superficial to the meaning of pro wrestling. They're impactful, but it's the characters that you connect with, not the moves. And all Ricochet has been is moves. He's been relegated to just being defined as the guy that does cool stuff. And that means you have no emotional connection with the fans. Outside of just fans want to see you beat up your body for their satisfaction of just, whoa, what a crazy maneuver. Now you could apply that logic to everybody who just wants to be entertained by people who put their bodies at risk. But Ricochet is to the extreme on that logic. You know, where people just look at him, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it is what it is. You see Ricochet, and you just go, okay, cool. At least you know you're going to get some insane bumps tonight, you know, or crazy maneuvers. And that's what he's been defined as. How can anyone think any different? All right. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he should dress as a gangsta. I don't know why he said homie twice. Trying to be cool. I don't know. Maybe that's how he speaks in real life. I don't know. Well done to Roman Reigns for his incredible acting on SmackDown. Give that man an Oscar. I'm sure I wasn't the only one who questioned if he actually had a change of direction. But really, I knew he was simply acting and luring us all in. Round of applause, please. Yeah, there was a moment. There was a moment where, you know, after Roman said he wants to give it all up, I said, well, okay, maybe. It was well done. Roman, and really everyone in that storyline has been superb in their acting abilities, at least when it comes to the bar of wrestling, a wrestler's acting, right? If you put them generally in Hollywood, some would sink, some would float, sink and swim, rather. But in the world of pro wrestling, where the bar and expectation of acting is lower, they're all knocking it out of the park. But this segment on SmackDown, particularly with Roman on his knees, that's where I said, oh boy, here comes a low blow. I kind of felt it there. You know, I was like, oh, this is a perfect setup for a low blow. And you know, Jay was in perfect position for it. And I said, yeah, 90% chance of a low blow here. And it's still well done. I'm not crapping on this at all, that it's, oh, I saw it coming. No, it's just, you've seen so many low blows that at least it's in the back of your mind. But, and yes, it's official. Zoe Stark is officially my favorite women's wrestler right now. I can't connect to Ricochet, but I can to Starks. She may not be the hottest, but that's what makes her different. I think I would be intimidated by her, and you can actually realistically say she could beat you up. Not many like her for sure. Thank you as always. Up the WWE podcast. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, Zoe Starks, she had one of her best matches to date, at least on the main roster, this past week on Monday Night Raw with Becky Lynch. And, I honestly don't care if the women are hot, as you say. That to me kind of passed about 15 years ago for me. Especially when the women's revolution came in, and we got tired of just not just the fans, but just society got kind of tired of the women being objectified in pro wrestling, and it was time for women to actually be respected on the roster, and look at where they are now. So I don't think being hot is a prerequisite for success. I'm not saying it hurts, but I think sometimes you can be too attractive to the point where it actually works against you because you're so distractingly attractive that sometimes, no matter how good of a wrestler you are, it still can, in a weird way, detract from what you want people to focus on because your physical beauty is just so over the top. You're probably like, well, who do you think is that? Well, I'll save that maybe for an After Dark episode. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. And Shayna Baszler too. Shayna Baszler clearly is not the most people would think is not the most attractive woman on the roster. Not at all, right? But she's a badass, and people are paying attention. They're reacting to Shayna Baszler. So yeah, Zoe Stark, from a typical quote unquote female wrestler, is she the most attractive to, I think, the majority of people? Probably not, but she's still a good looking woman. And she showed off on she showed off on Monday Night Raw against Becky. So I'm high on Zoe Stark, and she's being able to get the rub off Trish. She's in a good spot right now. So yeah. Or yeah. All right. Thanks, buddy. All right. Let's get to Ryan, and he says, "Hi, Matt and team. Cheers for the podcasts. I have listened every week since getting back into the WWE into September last year. My question is, what is happening with the brand intros for SmackDown and Raw and the sets? I knew the post-draft, the intros would be a miss for a few weeks, but now it's coming into several months since the draft. I feel like it's pretty lazy. Can we please change the sets?" All right. So it's actually not something that I really pay attention to that much, but it's a legitimate critique, right? If you're going to have a draft, typically things get refreshed, and they haven't been. But to be fair, they don't respect their own brand rules. So why refresh something that they're not going to really follow anyway? So, but yeah, at this point, I don't know if I would hold my breath, Ryan. They've gone how many months now since the draft was quote unquote implemented? And I say that word very loosely, or rather enforced is a better word to put in air quotes. And so I think that they've kind of moved past maybe that superficial stuff of redoing the sets and intros specifically for the draft. Now, they seem to have a random schedule of when they refresh sets and intros and these signatures that start at the beginning of the show. They seem to have a random schedule of that. Sometimes it's in September when they have a more air quotes today, a new season, which makes no sense in wrestling. They're just trying to follow the rest of the TV shows and episodic television. But I think at this point, I wouldn't hold your breath. It'll happen randomly out of nowhere. And it won't be, it'll be an RKO. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be an RKO. There'll be no rhyme or reason. It'll just happen because they feel like it's time. I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon to make up for the draft that's passed. And now they're like, oh crap, we never refreshed all the sets and all the intros. Let's do that quick so no one's angry that they didn't do it for the draft. That time is long come and gone. All right. Thanks, Ryan. And let's talk to Mason. And Mason says, I don't have much to say this week except can we please get the belt off Asuka? I mean, I'm a huge fan of Asuka, and I like the Mist. But literally when she showed up on SmackDown, I asked my friend how long before she says nobody's ready for Asuka. And the answer, 2 seconds. Yeah, it was. I mentioned that too. It was pathetic. It was absolutely pathetic. Like, we need to ban those words from her promos. No more. Because I know she's capable of speaking more English than that. And it's shameful that WWE does not let her do that. And I'm not asking for a 10-minute promo, a 15-minute promo from Asuka on a weekly basis. But if she knows how to speak more, then it's just damn insulting and shameful that they're only allowing her to say that phrase, which is overdone, overplayed, doesn't make sense, and means nothing. So, okay, another question. For the listeners, what should be the main event of SummerSlam, do you think? And that's all, and thanks. Yeah, so question for the listeners from Mason. What do you guys think should be the main event? Brock and Cody? I would imagine there's a stipulation in that match. We'll probably find out on Monday. Jay versus Roman. If, again, nothing's official here. It's crazy that we have 3 weeks till SummerSlam, and yet we still have very few matches confirmed. But if Jay versus Roman is for the title, you would imagine that's the SummerSlam. But good question, Mason. I'm posing it to the listeners. What would you make the main event of SummerSlam this year? All right. Next up, let's talk to Chandler. Chandler says, not that anyone cares, but I'm going to Raw and Atlanta. Well, of course we care. You can't just assume we're soulless, just empty vessels, Chandler. But you say you're going to Raw in Atlanta this coming Monday, and I'm very excited to see Brock, although I'm not excited to hear Atlanta. What do you want to talk about? But nevertheless, let's talk about some wrestling. Yeah, Cody went back to it this week, and the crowd just goes, yay, he said the name of our city. I guess we'll just cheer because he said the name of our city. But we can't answer the question that he's trying to be cute with and make a thing. Again, it's fetch. Those of you that understand the Mean Girls reference from 2004, the movie, fetch ain't gonna happen, Cody. Stop making it try to happen. I understand he wants a catchphrase. He wants something that is trademarked to him, and you're asking an open-ended question that cannot be answered or cheered for, or having 15,000 people come to a consensus of how to answer that. It's a stupid thing to ask. I understand you're putting in the name of the city. It's clever, except you're asking an open-ended question, you fool. I feel very strongly about that because it's so annoying when he does it. He's always does it with like a half smirk too, like he's trying to be cute about it, but doesn't realize that isn't self-aware enough to understand that what he's asking is not a good question to ask 15,000 people that have 15,000 different answers. Okay, certain things get under my skin. LA Knight not winning Money in the Bank was a letdown, but I wouldn't be as mad about it if they had in any kind of meaningful program, not dark segments with Hit Row. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that too, but hey, it was a dark segment, fresh crowd popped crazy for him. And as I've said, I don't want him on SmackDown just to be there if they don't have something significant for him. I'm okay if at least they put him in Madison Square Garden. At least, if they didn't put him on the show at all, even in a dark segment, that would have been a little more telling. But I don't want him on the actual show just to be there unless there's a reason. And they don't have creative lined up for him yet, so they're probably figuring that out and waiting for the moment. So, he's still getting over like crazy. As I've said, if I was WWE, I would step back and go, well, it's not broke. I'm not going to try to fix it right now. Let it keep building. We'll eventually get behind him. Okay. Back to the subject of Brock and Cody. I'd like to see their final match be a 3 stages of hell. It would be a good ending to their rivalry. Can't argue. Makes sense. It can't just be a pure wrestling match. It just can't be, right? Right? 3 stages of hell. I love it. Yes. How is it that the IC title seems so prestigious right now, but the US title seems meaningless? There are a lot of guys that would be good competitors for that title, but instead they're sitting there and catering. No doubt, the IC title, it feels much more important, and a lot of that has to do with the booking or lack of with Austin Theory since he beat John Cena at WrestleMania. And it's very concerning that the very victory that they gave Austin Theory at WrestleMania was meant to propel Austin Theory to the next level, when in fact it has seemingly done the complete opposite and hurt the title in the process. All the value they built up with that, with Seth carrying it and Bobby Lashley fighting over it, and even Austin Theory, all that good, all the video packages when they didn't have a top championship on Raw, all that goodwill and value built into that U.S. title has, a lot of it, not all, but a lot of it has been drained out because of just Austin Theory not being on TV. Him, even when he's on TV, seeming kind of directionless. And nobody's challenging him for the belt. You know, okay, fine, he challenged this week. But since WrestleMania, he's essentially done nothing. And Gunther, on the other hand, is continuing to feel like a true ring general. All right, I've been a wrestling fan since 2011. Not as long as some viewers, but still a good while. Yeah, man, that's 12 years. And I haven't seen a story as good as the Bloodline. It's not a surprise that Roman is pursuing Hollywood after his wrestling career. That's it for this week. Yeah, he should. Hell yeah. People, I don't understand the anger for that. Yeah, I don't get it. The thing is, anybody in there the shoes of Roman or The Rock or John Cena, anybody that's transitioned to Hollywood, everyone in those shoes would do the same thing, because you're going to get paid more to work fewer dates, not throw your body at the ground every night. Yeah, man. Yeah, I would too. And if that's Roman's ultimate goal, good for him. Now, I'm all for it. Not that I want to see him leave wrestling, but fans sometimes seem to have this like possessive feeling that when you're in wrestling, you're in it for life. You should have no outside ventures. You are only relegated to this ring. You do anything outside of it on a consistent basis, and we will disown you or boo you. And that's what happened to The Rock. John Cena didn't get so much of it because we knew he was at the end of his career, and he gave us many more years actually than The Rock did. So there's that. But Roman Reigns, if he's eyeing Hollywood, good for him. And as far as the Bloodline being the best storyline you've seen, okay, you've been a fan since 2011. I've been a fan since 1997, and this is still one of the best storylines I've ever seen. I think anybody that even watching for longer than I have could attest. It may not be the best, but it's absolutely in the conversation, and that's all you need to know about the quality of this story. Thanks, Chandler. Okay. Dare I say, because I get cursed every week saying it, but that is it for the whole mailbag portion of the show, the email portion of the mailbag. So let's transition over to those voicemails right now.
Podcast world. This is DJ Kuzma back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record to live on a Wednesday morning. And let's get to your favorite show to come in every single week on the Mailbag. And I'm talking about the Veer Mahaan Report. Now, the Veer Mahaan Report took place this past Monday night on Monday Night Raw, live from Buffalo, New York. We did not get an in-ring appearance of the In this year, as they are right now 4-0. But we did get a very interesting promo. It looked like my guys were in some sort of thunderstorm. There was thunder, there was lightning, there was rain, and of course the modern day Maharaja narrated this awesome promo, and it goes something like this. They say victory at all costs, in spite of all terror. They believe with victory comes survival. But victory is an illusion of fools. Believe you can survive here. Burst despair. Your war cry is the noise beneath our feet. And here we go. They're in this share. That's right. Of course, my guys, Veer Mahaan, Saga, and the modern day Maharaja, they're going up. They are going up, and I like to see the potential of them going against the tag team champions. Hopefully, before this year is over, because I like the positioning of where these guys are. I love this interesting promo that they did, a very special effects promo. But with that being said, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay with my friends, and peace.
Yeah, I went over this on my Raw review. I really enjoyed that brief segment with the backstage kind of vignette promo with Veer Mahaan, Jinder Mahal, who just is fitting in so well. And I hope, though, my concern is this is a Viking Raiders 2.0 experiment. I hope it's not the case, where they're these mystical beings. They don't talk much. They're just kind of these big badasses like the Viking Raiders, and ultimately they don't do jack with them. You know, you're seeing that kind of poor, well, I don't want to say poor management, but just a lack of consistency with the teams, and I hope that's not the case here with Veer Mahan and Sangha and Jinder Mahal. So, yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. Again, they're going to target, I believe, Sami and Kevin Owens sooner than later. Thank you, my friend. Now let's. I have no idea who this next person is, but let's all find out together.
Hey, Matt, this is Randy from LA. Just calling for a couple things. First of all, wanted to ask, what's your take on Grayson Waller? You know, this whole time since he's been drafted to Raw, he seemed lost in the background of his own talk show. You know, everybody kind of, all the guests on there looked like a bigger deal than him. And then all of a sudden he shows up to Money in the Bank, and he goes head-to-head with John Cena on the mic, and he actually looked like he belonged. He looked like he belonged way more than Austin Theory did when he went head-to-head with John Cena. And so just wanted to see what you think, kind of what your opinion is. Are you impressed? Are you down on him? Are you intrigued by him? Just want to get your opinion on Grayson Waller. And then the other thing that I want to throw out there real quick, this is more just a rant, but I was listening to Anthony DeMarco a couple podcasts ago, or a couple days ago, and I just want to say, man, I agree with him. He said something about the ref continually getting knocked out in every Roman match. And honestly, to me, Money in the Bank was an A-plus pay-per-view, except for that moment. You know, I'm just getting absolutely tired and sick of the refs getting knocked out every Roman match. And so what I did was I went back and checked, and every match this year, every Roman match at a pay-per-view has had the referee get knocked out. Versus the Usos this weekend, Money in the Bank, referee got knocked out. KO, Sami versus Roman and Solo, Night of Champions, accidental super kick. And, you know, that whole moment where the accidental super kick happened on Solo, guess what happened? Couldn't get the pin. Things can happen because the referee got knocked out. Obviously, versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, Solo gets kicked out of the match, makes his way, comes back in, referee, just that whole situation, just always, every time with Roman, somehow it involves the referee either being distracted or knocked out. Sami Zayn, Elimination Chamber, same thing. He hits the haluva kick, but guess what? The referee's knocked out. KO at the Royal Rumble, same thing. Just, it's getting old. Even Drew back at Clash at the Castle, Solo went solo first right. Referee, man, it's just getting, they need to come up with something different. This is the only part of this storyline that's just been off. Everything else has been A+. Anyways, thank you, Matt.
Randy, thanks for calling in, man. I hope you're doing well, and great questions. So, what do I think about Grayson Waller? Well, I'm high on him. I'm optimistic. I don't have anything negative to say about him. I critique not his show, but how often WWE creates these shows. Again, it's just there's been just too many talk shows over the last 5 to 10 years in WWE. Somebody's always got to have a talk show, and I understand why they do it, because it's a soft landing spot to be able to have anyone on at any time in a platform to talk about whatever storyline they're in. It's a catch-all. It's a jack of all trades. You can do it's very malleable. You can make it whatever you want it to be for whatever storyline's going on. It doesn't have to be with the host of the show. So I get why they do it. It's just an overdone formula. It just is. That said, Grayson Waller's good. He's young. He's got youth on his side, always looking for new stars. And I think that WWE is very high on him, given the fact that they had him wrestle Edge in Madison Square Garden. Do I think he's a future WWE Universal Champion? I mean, maybe. It's way too early to tell. In the ring, I think he's just fine to very good. I have no issues with him in the ring either. But I feel like I say that about everybody. Everyone just seems to be so polished. There's very few people. How many people can we name on the roster, men or women, that have bad matches, consistently bad matches, that is, or just feel like they're sloppy in the ring? Maybe Omos because of his size. Like there's very few. So this kind of comes to the territory. But Grayson Waller, I'm optimistically high on. Am I over the moon over him? No. But when I see his segment on SmackDown, I don't turn away or skip through it. I want to hear what he has to say. So I'm on board. Count me in right now. As far as the ref getting knocked down in every single Roman match, yeah, that's been a common complaint. And one that I don't think a lot of people realize. It's like, oh yeah, wow, I didn't realize that. And it is a formula that continues to happen over and over and over and over because there's always some wonky interference that they need to set up. And the only way they know how to set up that wonky interference or strange finish is to have a referee get knocked down. And I don't agree with that either. It's not something that's not the hill I'm going to die on, as they say, but I also do think it's overused. They need to come up with something different other than the referee getting bumped. And furthermore, if they know the referee, like if you look at the percentage of referees that have gotten bumped in Roman matches, and it's a very high percentage, wouldn't WWE have a referee on standby, particularly if it's a championship match? And it's so funny when a referee gets knocked down that it takes WWE 25 minutes to get a new referee out there. I mean, it's implausible, right? Like if they're supposed to be an actually competitive sport, right? They would have a referee out there instantly ready to go in gorilla, but they don't because it's wrestling. And I'm not crapping on that. Those of you that think he's going to go on a rant about that. No, it's wrestling. So I get it, but it is one of those moments that, you should have a referee at all times ready to go if a fellow referee gets knocked down. I don't know what the solution is though, dude. I don't know what the new formula is. Maybe you do it behind the referee's back, perhaps. Ref doesn't always have to take a bump. I'm with you. Thanks, Randy. I think it's time for our next one. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's Alex, the French guy. Let's see what he's got to say.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to just comment real fast about Money in the Bank on the first. I think it's just how it was a really good show. It was a two-match show for me, actually. Actually, it was about the ladder matches themselves. I thought they were both great with EO and Damian Priest winning. It was great. It was perfect winners. So I enjoyed that. But my main topic here really is just about, because I was at Raw on Monday, and it was a really good show overall, just being there in person. The first time being at Raw to see majority of the wrestlers there. All the wrestlers on Raw I'm fans of within everyone in Judgment Day besides Dominic, Becky Lynch, and and all of them. It's Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, all of them. So I love everyone on Raw right now that seemed like a big deal. Because over on SmackDown, it's just, again, I said before, it's just a Roman Reigns show. And it's all well and good that Roman Reigns is the top star of the company, but at the end of the day, I don't watch SmackDown solely for Roman Reigns. I don't watch Raw solely for Becky Lynch or only for Seth Rollins. I watch it for multiple people. And since it's not the Roman Reigns show, I think that's why for me personally, I can't really get behind SmackDown because there's only a few. I do like what they're doing in the women's division somewhat with Bianca and Asuka and Charlotte, but I guess just for me, it's just Roman Reigns is just about telling stories and not having a great match. And I think for me personally, I need both, having a great story and also with it, them having a great match. So not really a question, it's more of an observation, just my time being at Raw, seeing how much I enjoy myself being there and seeing a lot of people I like in person, and how I really enjoy everything about that. Now, my quick thing is about Rhea Ripley. Her face-off with Io is really cool, but she needs to be facing someone. I said this multiple times, but for that championship, that's important. It needs to be Becky. That's who needs to face Rhea Ripley. But anyway, that's what she's thought. That's quick thoughts about my time on Raw, and then, but that's just it. This is what I'll call. Bye.
Hey, Kyle. So, Rhea Ripley doesn't need a real opponent. They tease Becky and Rhea. That maybe where they're going, but I think Becky has to wrap things up with Trish first. And that's probably going to happen at SummerSlam, and then she moves on to Rhea, maybe. But yeah, Rhea needs somebody real. Agreed. And as far as, the Roman Reigns show, you can't get behind and all that. Like, hey, look, the ratings say otherwise, but just because the ratings say otherwise doesn't mean just that you have to go along with the crowd. The ratings went through the roof. Anytime Roman and the Bloodline storyline is going on, the ratings spike, and I would milk that too if I was WWE. They're there to make money. They are there to make money. And it is the Roman Reigns show on SmackDown. I know you don't watch a show specifically for that storyline or watch any show for a specific storyline, but there always has to be a main storyline running through the show, even if it's a storyline that you don't support or get behind. That's why there's a little bit of everything for everyone. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. To each their own, man, But cool. Thanks, Kyle. Good to hear from you. Let's continue. And by the way, yeah, I thought that was Alex, the French guy. I was one ahead. All right, so now here comes the French guy. So let's do it.
Alex, the French guy here, your current European champion. You think you know me. I just wanted to address my favorite superstar of all time is Edge, and this is the reason I came back to watch WWE. I watched WWE until, the Daniel Bryan storyline. A little bit after that, I stopped watching, but Edge was the number one reason I was watching some years ago. And when he announced after WrestleMania 27 that he retires, broke my heart. I think that was one of the first times I shed a tear for wrestling. And Edge, what a guy, man. Like, I've just addressed that because you had a match this week with Grayson Waller. Just proves that the guy he loves the business. It's truly loving the business. The guy comes back, doesn't want a title. He did have a title shot, but I think he agreed on not winning a belt. First, every time he's involved in a storyline, he does everything to put over some new guys. Incredible. He I don't know, like during the COVID era, taking care of the business, even it's awesome. The thing he's doing, like selflessly, is absolutely great. Edge is really my favorite superstar. Let's just enjoy the time that we have with such an amazing superstar. Because let me say to you that this guy has a choice. He can go to Hollywood any day of the week. But during those 8 years between the neck injury, he worked his butt off just to get back into wrestling. And this is not for the fame. This is not for the money. It is just because the guy genuinely loves the business. That's just what I wanted to say this week. Enjoy your week, guys. See you next week, maybe.
All right, Alex, it's really you this time. So, yeah, look, with Edge, I keep saying it. Edge has hinted at it very strongly this year, more than any other year since he's been back at the Rumble in 2020, that he is at the end of his run. And yes, he's doing it because he loves this. He wouldn't go through all this sacrifice if he didn't love it. But there's a selfish element to it, which I'm not blaming him for at all, but we have to recognize it. And that he wanted to finish his own story. He came back because he wanted to right a wrong. He felt something was taken from him too soon, and it was. And he's there for his own, partly there for his own gratification to write his own story. And I give him credit for that. And yes, he's there because he loves it, and he is extremely good at what he does. But the biggest point I want to make is one that you just made. So I'll reiterate it. We need to enjoy this time. We are on very borrowed time with Edge. So those of us that, and I'm guilty of it too, making fun of how many times he returns. Thank God it's not with the Judgment Day anymore. But yeah, he's the king of returns. He puts over talent. He still has it at his age He is in better shape than he was, I think, than when he was a regular wrestler, a full-time wrestler. And he is a special, special talent. And it's going to be sad when he finally does go and really hangs up the boots, which I still believe will be WrestleMania 40. And you're right. I mean, let's just take the time to enjoy Edge. Enjoy it. And I absolutely understand why he is your favorite. And one, I guess, little dunk that I'll make. Apparently, and Edge has gone on record of saying this. This is not just my speculation. He came up with his name Edge because here in Albany, New York, at the time, there was a radio station called The Edge. And when he was here and he heard that, he said, "Oh, that's a cool name for... that might be a cool name." And he actually got his name Edge from a radio station here in Albany, New York. So, or if you're not from here, everyone that's not from here or doesn't know what the capital is says Albany. It's not Albany. Okay. Now, I'm not saying you said that, Alex, but that's how you know someone's not from here. But it's Albany. And that's where, anyway, my point is not making fun of people that aren't from here. I don't know where my brain goes, but it's just to say that that's actually where he got his name, is from my hometown. So, or home city, because that's not a town. But thanks, buddy. Let's get to our next voicemail.
Hey, Matt. You're Kyle again. I'm outside working, so I hear that truck. Also, if I sound a little different than normal, I have my earbuds in the music and your podcast. I have an earpods in. Anyway, I actually forgot to call in this week. So, I got 2 corrugated reports to recap. I forgot about last week. My bad. One. Last week, basically, the corrugated Darren Brooke feud kind of continued. Darren Brooke is teaming up a new star that was debuting last week on NXT. Kalani Jordan. Sorry. Kalani Jordan basically squashed Tatum quickly and got first win. That's nice. Then Cora Jade came out and basically called out Kalani Jordan and was like, "I know you're new around here, but anyone who's a friend of Dan Brooks is an enemy of mine." She called her out. That was last week. Then this week, sorry guys, I don't know why I got talk today. This week, Cora Jade had a match with Kalani Jordan, and Cora won, which I'm happy about. Because Kalani Jordan's new. It's very unbelievable. It's very not believable and very unrealistic. If a new star, her second week, can beat someone like Cora, who's been here for a year and a half. So, yeah, that was nice. Then after the match, Cora has that metal kendo stick Cora always brings out for her signature weapon, her Triple H sledgehammer basically. Tried to attack Kalani with it. Then Dana Brooke attacked Cora to the ground and stopped her, super kicked her to the ground, drop kicked her to the ground. And then Cora rolled out of the ring to escape. So that was also nice, that thing where the heel's not beaten down, so it's not satisfying. But if you get attacked out of the ring, it's one of those things. Kind of happened to Roman with Friday on SmackDown. Cora escaped Dana. So that was the last 2 weeks. I'm glad Cora got another win. Cora's getting wins. Because for a little bit, I was getting worried. She was kind of losing streak for a little bit. I was getting a little worried. I'm glad she's getting some wins again now. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this week. Talk to you guys next week.
All right, Kyle, a little trouble hearing you there. I mean, you said you were on your earbuds, so we'll look forward to your normal mic quality next week. However, we did get a little bit of that from the Cora Jade reports, and I guess it speaks for itself. I don't know if there was a question buried in there. I don't think there was. It was more of just saying you're at work and giving us the Cora Jade reports, I believe. So thank you for those, and don't get in trouble at work. That's all I'll say. A lot of you listen, as I said, a lot of you listen at work. I don't want you to get in trouble, but it's on you guys. All right, let's get to our last couple here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the gardener, Michael Gross, and I just want to say that the Wrestle Magic episodes I've been recording with Mr. Rocky T and with Matt, and as well as Memphis Mark and my nephew Maverick, have been amazing. We've thoroughly been enjoying entertaining everybody, and now that Justin Incredible's on board, if you don't know what the big announcement is, you might want to understand that he's going to be with us once a month on Wrestle Magic. And going forward, we're going to have a lot of really cool, interesting, diverse, and episodes that you can listen to at any time that won't be time-stamped, so you don't have to worry about if it's relevant or not to what the timeline is in history. Folks, I'm having a blast. I'm doing great. I hope everybody out there is doing great. And to quote my podcasting partner, Mr. Rocky T, don't have a good day, have a great day, and thank you, Matt, for recording with me the other night. Bye.
There he is, Mr. Michael Gross, host of Wrestle Magic, and as he just mentioned, two big things. Number one, not as big, but it's still significant. I was on the show last night. We recorded a show with Just Incredible, PJ Polacco, and had such a great time where he discussed his road stories, some very funny ones, and pranks, or rather ribs, as they say, and other things that are not for the children. So that's going to be an After Dark episode that's going to be published in the next day or so. I'm going to try to get it out tomorrow, the 13th of July. That's my goal. And it'll be available to those on Patreon who are on the SmackDown tier and higher, and on Apple Podcasts if you're subscribed, and of course on WWEpodcast.com. Anywhere that you're subscribed and you are basically a paying member of the show, and you, outside of the base tier on Patreon, you'll be able to get this show. So yeah, that and the fact that PJ, Just Incredible, is going to be monthly on the Wrestle Magic show. Very cool. Very excited about that. Really cool dude. Once you listen to him, you're gonna, if you didn't already listen to him in last week's Wrestle Magic, you're gonna just crave more of him. He's just very intelligent, and he just has so much to share about his experiences in the wrestling business. It's absolutely an asset to the show. So very cool. Alrighty, guys, let's get to our last one. Ready? Let's go.
Hey man, this is Justin from Maryland. Just had a couple of thoughts as we head into SummerSlam. So first is the World Heavyweight Championship. I'm not sure where they're going to go for SummerSlam. I'm guessing it seems like they're going to do Seth and Finn again. Because, I mean, that's the only match that makes sense. You can't do Seth and Dom because you've already done that multiple times. And then you can't do Damian. He's already had a title shot, and he's Money in the Bank. So what do you think they're going to go for SummerSlam with Seth? Do you think they're going to go with him and Finn one-on-one again? And then I'm guessing they'll have Damian get involved, and he'll probably call Spin. But yeah, where do you think Seth is going to go? Because I'm thinking that's the only option that they have right now. Next is Rhea Ripley. Also, who do you think should be facing that SummerSlam? It seems like they're going to go with her and Raquel, but she's one half of the tag champion. So they have a tag title match next week. I'm hoping that they don't have Rhea cost Liv and Raquel the match, because they're playing hot potato with the tag titles at this point. So hopefully Rhea doesn't cost her, the titles, and then that's how they set it up. I still think that they can still do it, because I don't know who else she can face right now. It seems like they're going with her and Raquel. So yeah, just want your thoughts on who you think Rhea's going to face. Next, I want to say I'm going to touch on Roman and Jay. Definitely excited for the match. Of course, Roman's going to win. I'm just glad that Roman, he has a story that he can, get invested in, because that's why it was a good idea for him to hold the belt, because he still has so much more he can do. After Jay, you got to think he still has Lashley that has to come back. You got AJ Styles, maybe Bray Wyatt, but, you definitely got a lot more gas left in this run. So just excited for the match. Definitely think Roman's going to win, and then looking forward to see who's going to step up next. Finally, I guess the SmackDown Women's Championship, they're definitely setting up a three-way, Bianca, Asuka, and Charlotte. I think Charlotte's going to get involved this Friday, and they're going to set it up. It was just so obvious. I just knew back when Charlotte came back and Bianca that they were going to have a three-way at SummerSlam. So I think they're going to set that up, and then I guess Asuka's going to win, but I'm pretty sure Io's going to cash on her at some point. But yeah. So definitely excited for SummerSlam. We got some good matches coming up. So I think my time is probably going to run out soon. So thanks, man, and can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Who else could it be, right? Justin, you did it. All right. You got a little cut off, but for the most part, you got all your thoughts in. I'm proud of you. All right. So let's talk about it. The Finn and Seth match for SummerSlam, I think that's where they're going. Now, that's where they're going for a couple of reasons. Number one, they work so well together. You're going to get a very high-quality match. Two, it's going to further the split between Damian and Finn. Finn will accidentally, or Damian will either purposefully or accidentally, at least looking like he accidentally costs Finn the match again. And that will solidify the split between Damian and Finn, turning Finn babyface officially. And there's also symmetry between Seth and Finn at that SummerSlam event from 2017 or 2016 when the Universal Championship was first introduced, where Finn won it and then had to give it up due to injury. So they could talk about that. So multi-layered, I think you're right. As far as Damian, or as far as Rhea Ripley, who she's facing, I would have said Becky, but she's going to finish things up with Trish. And you're right, it's got to be Raquel. Now, Raquel has the women's tag team title match. I know you said you don't want them to play hot potato, but they have yet to show a consistent, that's the key word, consistent respect for that championship. There have been moments in periods of time, chunks of time even, but until they show consistent respect for the belts, I have my doubts that they're going to be worried about playing hot potato with these championships. So if she drops it, you're absolutely right. They could do Raquel and Rhea. That's really the only thing they have. And even if they don't drop the belts, Rhea could still go against Raquel, even if she's one half of the tag team champions. You could still do it. But it would make more sense that Rhea costs them the championship, thus leading to a one-on-one at SummerSlam. As far as, after Jay, who probably won't win, although you could make a case, assuming he doesn't, though, you're right. Lashley, AJ, Bray. What about Randy, Seth, eventually LA Knight? I mean, there's a litany of people, which is why I am really opposed to Roman dropping the belt right now, because there are still so many great stories to tell outside of the intra-family stuff. Of course, Rock, right? If that happens. But there's a lot of other great stars that he hasn't worked with, that he has a history with, that he has yet to finish things up with. And so it makes sense, and he's a ratings draw. So, hey. And it's one thing I want to make a comment on, because I know some of you saw the Seth interview that he did of saying, well, if Roman did his job, or if Roman did what I was doing, there would be no need for a second championship. He said this recently. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, no, that's not what Roman needs to be doing. He doesn't need to be treating the championship like the 24/7 title. He doesn't need to be overexposed on 6 segments on a show. He doesn't need to also be devaluing the championship like WWE is doing to the World Heavyweight Championship, of allowing anyone at any time to get an opportunity at the belt. All they have to do is just ask or show up or attack me, and they get an opportunity. No, Seth, that's not what they need to do. There's a happy medium here, and the happy medium is what they used to do before Roman was in this post-WrestleMania 38 schedule, where he'd show up every 3 times a month, and maybe 3 out of the 4 shows, or 2 out of the 4 shows, defend his belt every month, or at the very least every other month, or go 3 months, skip a month, and then go back and defend it, right? I would agree that 4 months now of not defending the belt, that's egregious. I agree, but there's a happy medium here. It's not the Seth Rollins version, and it's not the current Roman Reigns version. It's somewhere in the middle. So I don't want to hear Seth's nonsense. Oh, well, if Roman was doing what I was doing, there'd be no need for another belt. Stop. No. That's not the case. But hey, what do I know? Let's see. I wrote something else down. Oh, the women's title. Yeah, it'll be a triple threat. No doubt about it. Agreed. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. I know you said the SmackDown. I think that's the WWE women's title now. But I knew what you meant. So Justin, always great to hear from you, man. Thanks so much for calling in. Thanks so much to all the callers, all the emailers. You guys are the best. And if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast, WWEpodcast.com, or go to WWEpodcastshop.com. Also, if you guys do Amazon shopping like I do, there's a link right on my website on the main page. It redirects you to Amazon, but all it tells Amazon is, hey, we sent you there, and they kick back a percentage of whatever you buy to the show. There's no extra fees. It's an affiliate link, guys, which means we get credited for anything you buy. So we'd appreciate it if you use that link every time you shop on Amazon. But also support the show with just 5-star ratings and downloads, guys. I mean, just subscribe to the show. Even if you don't compensate us any other way, just by listening. That's it. And telling a friend. How about that? We'll make a deal, right? All right. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening. I'll be back on Sunday with your weekend review and dropping the Just Incredible After Dark episode to those who are subscribed ad-free SmackDown tier and higher in Patreon and on Apple Podcasts or WWEpodcast.com. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'll be back on Sunday. For everyone else, take care, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.